The screaming came through my comm before I even cleared the atmosphere of Pharisoni Prime. Human voices desperate and dying, calling for backup that wouldn't arrive in time. My quantum spurs flared against the floor of our assault transport as I pushed the engines past their safety limits, the Lone Star streaking through the alien sky like a comet with an attitude. "Knight Commander Wade Hutchins to Marine Command," I drawled into my comm, my helmet's HUD painting targets across the battlefield below, while the built-in Stetson gave me that familiar silhouette that struck fear into alien hearts. "Y'all still breathing down there?" "Knight Commander." The voice was raw with exhaustion and pain. "This is Captain Chiloquin, 3rd Marine Division. We're getting torn apart here, sir. They've got some kind of energy shields that laugh at our standard weapons. We've lost 60% of our force." Through my helmet's enhanced optics, I could see the battlefield spread out below, a hellscape of twisted metal and alien architecture where the purple-skinned Pharisones had built their military complex. Flashes of weapons fire lit up the smoke like deadly lightning, and even from this height, I could see the bodies of good Marines scattered across the ground like fallen leaves. My jaw tightened beneath my helmet as I remembered the briefing images. The UPS Godslayer. 800 souls aboard, preparing for routine departure from Pharisoni Station when the diplomatic delegation had triggered their suicide bombs. No warning, no declaration of war, just murder, pure and simple. The Pharisones had miscalculated. They'd killed Marines, Navy, and civilians alike, thinking humanity would back down from a tragic misunderstanding. They'd forgotten one crucial fact about humans. We don't forgive, and we sure as hell don't forget. Well, that was true when you were dealing with humans of American heritage, and someone had attacked their boats. Other human nationalities might negotiate, might find diplomatic solutions, but Americans? "Attack our ships and we'll follow you to the gates of hell itself, Knight Commander." "Knight," Earl Topeka called out from the gunner's position, his massive .50 caliber machine gun already spinning up, the weapon's bulk easily managed by his powered armor. "Permission to remind these purple bastards what happens when you sink American ships?" "Granted," I replied, watching my squad of 15 Texas Knights make their final preparations. Knight Guy Wichita hefted his quantum-enhanced war spear, the traditional weapon humming with enough power to punch through starship armor. Nightdale Sullivan checked the targeting scope on his .50 caliber sniper rifle, a beauty that had been taking alien heads at impossible ranges for 3 generations. The recoil completely negated by his armor's kinetic dampeners. The rest of my boys were armed with an array of plasma rifles, laser carbines, and enough quantum-enhanced steel to make the devil himself think twice. All of us sons of New Kansas 4, where the wheat grew tall under alien suns and the settlers had carved out a piece of home among the stars. "Captain Chiloquin," I said, my spurs leaving trails of blue fire as I prepared for combat drop, "this here's what you're gonna do. Pull your boys back 200 meters and dig in deep. Things are about to get interesting." "Sir, with respect, 16 knights against their entire defensive grid." "Son," I interrupted, my helmet's HUD already painting target priorities across the battlefield. "They killed 800 of ours while they were shaking hands and smiling. That ain't war, that's murder. And in Texas?" My peacemakers hummed as I activated their quantum matrices. "We got our own way of dealing with murderers." I triggered the combat drop, our transport's armored shells peeling away like flowers blooming in reverse. The Pharisoni's defensive grid immediately locked onto us, energy beams and particle weapons painting the sky with deadly light. But Texas Knights don't ride into battle for the odds to be fair. "Remember the Godslayer!" Knight Roy Lawrence shouted as we fell toward the battlefield, his plasma rifle already charging for the first volley. My coattails snapped in the wind as I fell toward the battlefield, both peacemakers in my gauntleted hands, quantum spurs carving trails of fire through the alien atmosphere. Around me, my knights fell in perfect formation, 15 of the finest warriors New Kansas 4 had ever produced, each one carrying enough firepower to level a city block. their powered armor gleaming like metallic angels of death. The impact we made in their pristine courtyard would have registered on seismic sensors 3 systems away. Dust and debris fountained around us as we rolled to our feet, spurs ringing against alien stone, weapons already tracking targets through our helmet HUDs. "Howdy," I said to the squad of Ferrisoni soldiers who'd been rushing toward our landing site, my helmet's external speakers carrying that familiar drawl. "Y'all the ones who murdered 800 of my people?" Their energy weapons opened up in response, coherent beams of purple light that could slice through starship armor. The beams splashed harmlessly against our powered armor's energy shields as we returned fire. Earl's .50 caliber machine gun opened up with a roar that drowned out their fancy energy weapons. Quantum-enhanced depleted uranium rounds chewed through their shields like they were made of tissue paper. "Get some?" Earl bellowed, his massive weapon spitting death at cyclic rate while his armor's servos easily handled the recoil. The Ferrisoni's personal shields, the same ones that had been shrugging off Marine weapons fire, simply ceased to exist under the assault of good old-fashioned American lead traveling at hypersonic velocities. "Incoming artillery," Knight Vernon Abilene called out as my HUD lit up with ballistic trajectories. 6 rounds, impact in 15 seconds. "Scatter formation," I ordered, watching my knights disperse with practiced precision. The Ferrisoni artillery rounds struck our landing zone with thunderous force, plasma charges that would have vaporized unarmored troops. Our powered armor weathered the storm, energy shields flaring as we advanced through the inferno. Nightdale's sniper rifle cracked once, twice, 3 times from an overwatch position, each shot taking out a Ferrisoni officer at impossible range through the smoke and fire. "Artillery spotters neutralized," he reported in his calm Selena drawl. "Y'all are clear to advance." "Air support inbound," Knight Buck Hutchinson warned as alien fighters screamed overhead, energy cannons strafing our position. The beams that could have melted through tank armor merely made our shields flicker. "I got him," Knight Frank Emporia replied, shouldering his laser carbine and tracking the lead fighter. The coherent light beam punched through the aircraft's hull like paper, sending it spiraling into the ground in a ball of fire. We moved like a force of nature through their defensive lines. Night Guy's war spear carved through enemy formations, the quantum-enhanced tip punching through armor, shields, and pretty much anything else that got in his way. Knights Roy, Buck Hutchinson, and Clyde Dodge advanced in a wedge formation, their plasma rifles painting the battlefield with streams of superheated death, while their armor's targeting systems guided every shot. More Ferrisoni artillery opened up, this time from multiple positions. Heavy plasma mortars rained down around us, each impact crater large enough to swallow a hover tank. My HUD tracked 17 separate firing positions as we pressed forward through the bombardment. "Earl, suppress that ridge line," I called out, marking targets on our shared tactical display. "On it, boss." Earl's machine gun swiveled toward the indicated positions, quantum-enhanced rounds chewing through alien fortifications like they were made of sand. Secondary explosions lit up the ridge as ammunition stores cooked off. "Marine Command," I called out as we carved through their first defensive ring, reloading both weapons while my armor's autoloaders fed fresh ammunition into Earl's gun. "Y'all might want to start your advance. Seems these boys' shields ain't quite as impressive as advertised." Through my comm, I could hear Captain Cheloquin rallying his troops. "You heard the Knight Commander. Move out for the Godslayer." The battle cry echoed across the battlefield as Marine units emerged from cover, their weapons suddenly finding purchase against shields that had been overloaded by quantum disruption fields. But we were already 3 clicks ahead of them, cutting through Ferrisoni positions like a tornado through a trailer park. More fighters screamed overhead, this time in squadron strength. Energy beams and particle weapons lit up the sky as they focused their fire on our position. Knight Chester Olathe's plasma rifle reached skyward, tracking targets with his armor's advanced fire control systems. "Splash 1, he called out, as another fighter exploded. 2 more vectoring in from the east." Knight Wayne Goodland's quantum sword sang as it deflected an energy beam that had penetrated his shields, the blade's matrix turning the attack back on the attacking aircraft. The reflected beam sliced the fighter's wing clean off. "Contact rear!" Knight Vernon Abilene called out, spinning to engage a flanking force with his twin plasma pistols while his armor's rear sensors painted targets on his HUD. 20 hostiles, dug in behind crystalline barriers. "I got your 6, Vernon," Knight Wayne Goodland replied, his quantum sword carving through alien fortifications while his armor's strength enhancement let him toss aside barriers that would have required explosives to move. The Pharasones brought up their heavy weapons, massive energy cannons that could level buildings. The first shot missed us by inches, melting a furrow in the ground deep enough to bury a starship. My HUD immediately calculated firing positions and trajectories. "Dale, can you reach that cannon?" I asked. "Consider it done," came the reply. His .50 caliber rifle spoke once, the quantum-enhanced round traveling nearly 3 kilometers to punch through the cannon's power coupling. The weapon exploded in a shower of purple sparks. "Multiple aircraft inbound," Knight Lloyd Ness warned as a full wing of Pharisoni bombers approached our position. "Looks like they're fixing to glass this whole area." "Not today," Knight Russell Scott replied, his laser rifle cycling to full power. The coherent beam reached across the sky, slicing through bomber after bomber like a sword through silk. Those that survived his initial assault found themselves facing the combined firepower of 16 very angry knights. A Pharisoni commander tried to rally his troops from behind a barricade of their crystalline technology. He was a big one, nearly 8 feet tall with the ritual scarification that marked their warrior caste. His energy rifle could have punched through a tank. "Human," he snarled through his translator, his words carrying over our helmet comms. "Your people's deaths were necessary. You grow too numerous, spread too fast. The galaxy requires—" Knight Dale's sniper rifle spoke from 800 meters away. The Pharisoni commander's head simply ceased to exist above the neckline. "Galaxy requires y'all to learn some manners." Dale's voice crackled through our comm net. The artillery intensified as we pressed forward, a constant rain of plasma and particle beams that turned the battlefield into a hellscape. Our armor held, energy shields flaring and reforming as we advanced through fire that would have reduced a city to ash. "Bunker complex ahead," Knight Merle Hayes called out, his plasma weapon tracking movement behind reinforced positions. "Looks like they've got themselves a regular fortress." "Not for long," Guy replied, his war spear building up charge for a massive strike. The quantum-enhanced weapon released its energy in a focused beam that punched through 2 meters of reinforced crystalline armor, opening the bunker like a can opener. Knight Glenn Winfield followed up with his laser rifle, sweeping the interior with precise shots that eliminated any remaining resistance. "Bunker clear," advancing to the next position. We pressed forward, a wall of New Kansas determination and Texas firepower. Knight Merle Hayes and Knight Lloyd Ness flanked left with their plasma weapons, while Knight Russell Scott and Knight Glenn Winfield took the right with laser rifles. Earl's machine gun never stopped chattering, laying down suppressing fire that turned Pharisoni defensive positions into abstract art, while his armor's cooling systems kept the weapon firing far beyond its normal limits. The final artillery barrage came from their main guns, massive orbital defense platforms that could crack starship hulls. The ground around us erupted in fountains of molten rock and metal as we sprinted toward the main complex, our armor's enhanced speed carrying us faster than any unaugmented human could move. "Shields at 60%, Knight Chester warned as another barrage bracketed our position. "Almost there," I replied, watching the main defensive complex loom ahead. A twisted spire of purple crystal and metal that hurt to look at directly, even through our helmet filters. According to intelligence, this was where the Pharisoni High Command had planned their diplomatic massacre, where they'd laughed about human naivety as they prepared their bombs. "Breach and clear," I ordered, watching my knights form up for the assault while the last of the orbital strikes hammered the ground behind us. "Remember, We want the command staff alive for questioning. Everyone else, I let my peacemakers do the talking. Guy's war spear punched through the main entrance like it was made of cardboard. Quantum energies tearing apart defensive barriers that should have stopped a tank battalion. We poured through the breach like avenging angels, weapons fire lighting up the alien corridors while our helmet HUDs painted targets in the smoke and chaos. Inside the complex, the corridors were filled with fleeing Ferrasoni personnel. We let most of them run. We weren't here for the small fish. The quantum signature I was tracking on my HUD led steadily upward to where the real architects of the Godslayer massacre were waiting. I found them in what looked like a command center, clustered around a holographic display showing the battle outside. 3 Ferrasoni commanders in elaborate armor, their violet skin pale with fear as they watched their impregnable defenses crumble under the assault of 16 pissed-off Americans from New Kansas 4. "Gentlemen," I said, stepping into the room with both guns drawn while my knights secured the perimeter, their helmets scanning for additional threats, "we need to have ourselves a conversation about the UPS Godslayer." The largest one, probably their equivalent of a general, drew himself up with what passed for dignity among his species. "You cannot blame us for striking first against an expanding plague. Your species breeds without control, spreads without thought. 800 souls," I interrupted, my helmet speakers carrying the chill of a new Kansas winter, men and women preparing to head home to their families, civilians who'd never fired a shot in anger. You murdered them while they were shaking your hands. It was necessary. It was murder! My peacemakers hummed as their quantum matrices reached full charge, the sound carrying clearly through my helmet's audio systems. "And when you attack American ships," I glanced at my knights, all of them sons of New Kansas 4 soil with justice in their hearts and steel in their hands. "Well, we tend to take that personal." The other 2 Ferrasonis tried to run. The general tried to draw his sidearm. All 3 decisions turned out to be poor choices when you're in a room with 16 Texas knights who'd just watched 800 Americans die. When the smoke cleared, we stood alone in the command center, the silence broken only by the distant sounds of Marine units securing the complex. My comm crackled to life. "Knight Commander, this is Captain Chiloquin. Complex is secure. Enemy forces are surrendering across the board." I holstered my peacemakers and touched the brim of my helmet's built-in Stetson. "Much obliged, Captain. Justice has been served." Through the command center's windows, I could see Marine units taking prisoners, tending to their wounded, and raising the human flag over Ferrasoni Prime's military headquarters. In the distance, the memorial beacon I'd planted would broadcast for the next 1,000 years, carrying the names of every soul lost aboard the Godslayer. "Hell of a fight, boys," I said to my knights as they secured their weapons, steam rising from superheated armor as cooling systems worked overtime. Earl was already breaking down his machine gun, Guy was cleaning alien blood off his spear, and Dale was running diagnostics on his rifle scope through his helmet's HUD. "Pleasure serving with you, Commander," Knight Roy said, speaking for all of them. "The Godslayer's crew can rest easy now. Some folks say revenge is a dish best served cold, but on New Kansas 4, we prefer our justice served quick, clean, and with the kind of finality that makes sure the lesson sticks." The eyes of Texas had been upon Ferrasoni Prime today, enhanced by the finest military technology humanity could produce, and they had found it wanting. Time to head home to the sunflower fields and wheat fields of New Kansas 4. Mission accomplished. Many thanks to my channel members and Pathfinders. You all make these videos possible. Thank you for listening to this story. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave this video a like and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. Video shares, memberships, and super thanks help the channel grow as well, so feel free to partner with this channel in that way as we grow. With that all said, thank you again for listening to this story, and thank you for your time. On the left side of your screen are some videos I think you might be interested in. I hope to see you in the next one.